When I first started this little endeavor, I did not expect Clash cars to be so powerful. In my last video, I went over 1 and 2 elixir troops. I didn't have to go into that much research compared to this one. I had to go through 56 different cards and watch I don't know how many different types of trailers, which led me down some very interesting rabbit holes and theories. And now we're here. So in this video, I have to do things differently. For one, I'm throwing out the cost system entirely. You'll figure out why later, but I'm just going to go based off of pure effectiveness. Whether this troop would be useful in the war, or I just can't find any use cases for it. And that leads me to the next thing I'm changing. Instead of going by the amount of elixir, going in order from elixir count, I'm going to go put troops in 4 different categories. Useless, aka I could not find any good feats or 0 use cases for this card. Then you have the niche category, where I could see maybe it fits in a hyper specific role, or I think there may be use cases, I just can't think of any on the spot. And then I have the need category. Definitely would want these cards in a war and have a clear impact on any side they'll be on. And then you have the actual super weapon. Cards so powerful they could probably change the course of an entire war and completely dominate the other side. Alright, with that out the way, let's get right into it. Alright, let's start off with the cannon. Buildings in Clash Royale are interesting because they have a certain amount of health and time limit that they can stay alive. But for the caveats in this video, and to just give buildings a fighting chance, I'm going to get rid of that time limit. But even with that being gone, the cannon is still rather useless. Its health isn't that great, and its range is abysmal. It's going to get outranged by anything on the battlefield. Then you have the Goblin Barrel. Like I said in the last video, I believe goblins are pretty useless, and the Goblin Barrel's kind of worse because you get 1 less goblin. Sure, I guess you can place it anywhere, maybe in the enemy back lines, but the goblins are going to get taken out pretty easily. And Goblin Gang is just more goblins, so what more can I say about that? Skeleton Barrel, this will get shot out of the air almost immediately, and the skeletons would be taken out just as easily. Skeleton Dragons, I could not find any feats for, and they clearly get outclassed by the Baby Dragon and Inferno Dragon. Skeleton Dragons just seem like a useless addition, and like I said, I can't find anything about their speed, and there's like nothing in the animation, so I'm just going to leave them here. The Bomb Tower, like the cannon, I don't see much use for. It does have a limited range as well, and you're just throwing bombs. I think the skeleton side honestly would just get shot out. Zappies, I honestly feel kind of weird putting them this low, but I have a hard time trying to justify their placement anywhere else. I feel like I might be overlooking something like infinite power source. They don't seem to need to be recharged, but they're basically like a zap spell. So like, how much power can you really get from them? Yeah. Tombstone, okay, this is the other caveat. I'm not gonna extend the life on spawners. Spawners are kind of, that would be broken. You just get infinite of 1 card. So Tombstone does have a certain duration that will not extend. And skeletons aren't that great. You know, you only get a certain amount. So yeah, skeletons, no. Mega Million. Once again, this is a card I feel placing rather low. The Phoenix can revive itself, for God's sake, and it has a burning fire effect, but I couldn't find anything in trailers or anything to say he can use his fire or explosive fire periodically or anything like that. If he dies, he explodes, I guess, and he comes back to life just to die again, and that's basically what's going to happen in a World War. Then we have the Goblin Hut. Yeah, this one just spawns more goblins. You have to get close to it, and the Goblin Hut's rather easy to take out as well. Spirit Goblins are pretty useless. Then you have the motor. The motor is, this one hurts my soul because the motor's in my main deck as my winged edition, but I just don't see many use cases for it. The range sucks compared to our actual motors in real life, and actual real life artillery. And the projectile is really, really slow. So I'm just gonna have to keep it in the useless tier. And its evolution version is no better. It just shoots goblins. In Clash of Rama, I notice how racist people are towards the goblins, and I am not changing that track record, to be honest with you.
I don't know why you waste your time with goblins. The only language they're ever going to speak is stealing.
So arrows are actually interesting. The military basically already uses arrows. They're called, I'm gonna butcher this name, fletchets, small steel darts dropped from planes to kill silently. So arrows is kind of redundant. We already have probably a better versions of arrows, to be honest with you. I don't see a use case for these. Alright, we're already done with the useless category. To my surprise, there aren't that many cards that belong in there. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if every card I put in that category belongs in that category. I'm still kind of feeling weird on the Phoenix. So let me know in the comment section if you guys have any use cases for those cards. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the niche section. Alright, so let's go over to flying. I think these two truths kind of exemplify what the niche category is: the flying machine and the minions. So the flying machine seems like it could be used as like a drone of today, but just a way worse, more clunky version. The flying machine is slow, not that durable, and doesn't seem like it doesn't have a lot of attack power. It can shoot from a good range, I'm not gonna lie, but not outranging any regular trooper or a gun. So I think it'll be like skeet shooting with these things, so especially with trench shotguns. Oh my god. But I still see some use cases of this being like an early alert system, especially in something like Vietnam where you can get above the tree line. The main reason why I would say, put it in there. Same thing with the minions, even more so. I think the minions might be better for scouting out enemy bases, getting above the tree line, checking for ambushes. These two units I can see being used in the Vietnam War, but I can't with confidence say they're going to be useful, especially compared to other troops we'll talk about later. These three next cards are some of the weirdest. Like, I don't even know where to put them. They could be super weapon, to be honest with you, which is like, it's just weird to talk about. Okay, the guards, Dark Prince, and Royal Delivery. These three cards are not good. Okay, so they're not powerful. They don't have a lot of attack power. They don't have any good speed, and I can't find any good feats for them. However, their shields are godly broken. Okay, so the premise of the shield, basically, no matter how much damage you take, as long as you have the shield, you're immune. All right, the shield can be at 1 HP and you could survive a goddamn nuke, and that's what's making these cards as high as they are. I would put them in the useless category, especially like Royal Delivery. It seems but I cannot with good faith. These shields are very powerful. You have a weapon that can make you immune to anything, even a nuke. The problem is I don't know if you can give these shields to other troopers, or are these guys the only one that can handle it. Other than that, that's the only reason why they're in this category, and that's pretty much it. The shields. Alright, next we have the Goblin Demolisher, and I've been mean to goblins before in this video, but he's pretty decent. He's able to take out, in his trailer, he's able to take out a bunch of enemy troops, albeit they're kind of weaker troops, barbarians, skeletons, goblins, all that sort, and blow up a crown tower by himself. Although he has to blow himself up to take out a building, I say he's pretty good. I'm still going to keep him in this niche category because he has to kill himself to be able to kill others, basically. But yeah, he could do something, I guess. Take out a tank or two, or just one. And then we have the Hunter. I don't know how I feel about this guy. The main reasons why he's in the niche category and not the useless category is because of his net. His evolution version is able to capture a bunch of different enemies and hold them in place, so he definitely can hold a tank in place or maybe a building, maybe, I'm not sure, but I can see a use case for it. Then you have the Golden Knight, and he's here because he could take out a squadron by himself, with a single dash. The question is, can he get close enough to dash? Second, after he dashes, what use is he? He's going to be a priority target instantly. So he's going to be able to take out a squadron, and if they close, honestly, if a whole army's close enough together, he could probably single-handedly take them out. But that is kind of a rare scenario that's going to happen. So I'm going to keep him in this niche category. All right, these last two are very kind of hard to quantify. So let's start off with the archer. The archers are weak. I would have put them lower. But you have some instances of archers doing some crazy stuff. For one, as you can see in this trailer, the archer single-handedly takes out an entire tower. The question is, was this tower damaged beforehand, or was she helped? It is implied, I think it's implied that this tower was damaged beforehand. Both enemy troops, both kings have lost both their other towers, and they're both on their last leg, and this is the final countdown type thing, So I want to assume she is not, her arrows aren't destroying entire buildings by themselves. There's also a lot of Clash-orama skits of archers doing some pretty sick shots from insane ranges, but the archers are like special. I guess each archer is kind of special, and I don't know if I should give that to them. Either way it goes, they're no Hawkeye, they're no Green Arrow, they're not going to be exactly useful on the battlefield. I'm not going to say definitely want to put them in there, but they are going to have their niche uses with what we've seen from the trailers in Clash-orama. And then you have the Goblin Cage, which I think has even more of an argument for impactful. Not his regular version. His regular version is kind of weak. His main power is coming from his Evo version, which is able to pull giants and golems into his cage and just beat on them until they're dead. And this is not like you're pulling an entire giant into this small space. Same thing with the golem. So you have to have a lot of strength just to do that. But at the same time, I don't know if he has the same strength outside a cage. I don't see any in his trailers. I don't see any of his strength feats. It's only implied that he can pull things into his cage and beat them up there. When he's outside the cage, somehow he loses his strength. So I'm over here thinking, is that good? Does he lose his strength? Is he that strong naturally even outside the cage? And then I realized,
領域展開無料空所
he just has a domain expansion. And he just pulls people into his domain expansion, alright? So this is how it works. He comes in, he drops in, domain expansion, Diddy Goblin, and then he just pulls wherever he needs to into that cage and beats them up. It's like what we thought Yuji Itadori's, God, okay, not the Diddy part, but him just boxing who's ever inside his domain section. That's what we thought it was gonna be. This is what it was. So that's why I'm just gonna put him in the niche category. He can only clearly use the domain expansion once. And it only lasts, what, like 30 seconds? And he loses that power. That's pretty cool. It's pretty good. Not saying you can't use it every once in a while. Maybe destroy a tank or two, But I simply think there are just a lot better cards than him. Alright, so we have been through 20 cards. Only 9 of them are in the niche category. That lets you know how many cards are useful, how many cards are powerful. This next section is when the video really starts ramping up. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot of crazy cards. A lot of scaling we gotta go over. So let's get right into it. I want to start off this section by going over one of the relatively weaker characters in the game, the Miner. And no, I'm not talking about the Epstein files. Jesus Christ. I know his character gets a lot of glaze with the nerf Miner memes in the community, but come on, look at his stacks. He looks relatively weak, right? His damage isn't all that great, and his above ground speed is rather slow. But despite all these flaws, he's realistically very, very powerful, and they actually might need to nerf him a little bit. And some of you might know his ability is to go underground and pop up anywhere in the arena. But how fast is he going? Okay, so the best way I could calculate this is by comparing the arena to a football field. And with thanks to the touchdown arena, I think that's the best way to go about it. A football field is around 360 feet long and 160 feet wide. If we set the miner to the other king tower, it takes him about 2 seconds to get there. That means he's traveling at a speed of 54 meters per second or 120 miles per hour underground. And this is seemingly going through any material, alright? He's digging through rocks, wood, metal, and regular dirt. He's digging through any material at 120 miles per hour. This is insane. Imagine what advantages you can have on the battlefield with a trooper like this. Then you have the mighty miner, who seems to be just as fast, able to mine even bigger holes, but less covert, mind you. But and not just that, he's strong enough to uppercut a royal giant, destroy a golem, and crack the Mega Knight. And not that type of crack. Okay. Along with placing bombs anywhere he wants. This dude is an absolute menace and would terrorize the battlefield, destroying vehicles all over the place and disrupting positions. And then, going along the same drill bit, the goblin drill. Now, you might be wondering, I'm changing my minds on goblins a bit. You know, I kind of went a little bit special in a Diddy Goblin. What makes a goblin drill so special? And it's the psychological warfare behind it. Think about it. You're fighting the enemy straight ahead of you, and all of a sudden you feel rumbling, a shaking, and then this giant building pops up out of the ground, maybe disrupting your tank, maybe killed one of your soldiers because it does do area damage, mind you, and these gremlins are coming out. That would be scary. And not to mention his evolution version where it pops into the ground, pops back out, is going to be very disorganizing to deal with the goblin drill. And that's why I think these three are going to be an absolute terror on the battlefield and will absolutely be useful. So this one I'm kind of feeling iffy on now. You know, just looking over the list, I'm like, okay, these next two, they kind of seem weaker than I thought. So the Fisherman. The Fisherman has a low attack power and doesn't seem that powerful, but he's able to pull whatever he wants, whether that be a goblin or a golem. In my head, the first thing that came in my head was I think he's able to pull up a submarine. And it'll be the funniest thing if he's just on a ship, on a battleship, yoinking up submarines, yoinking up boats. But him pulling a tank is impressive. He doesn't really have the attack power to damage it. Maybe he can reposition it. I still think he belongs in the useful category, but I can be persuaded either way, niche or useful. Same with the Little Prince. Little Prince is not up here because he himself is useful, but his hero ability to summon the Guardian, that's powerful. The Guardian in his trailer was able to destroy the P.E.K.K.A. and the Fisherman with ease, you know, and these are big troops. You know, the Fisherman himself is a strong guy. The P.E.K.K.A. is very strong. So being able to just basically one-shot a tavern full of people, that's impressive. The problem is I don't know how much like durability the Guardian has. So these two might belong lower, but let me know what you guys think. Okay. Now, you might think I'm crazy for this one. The battle ram. You might be worried, bro, it's just a goddamn log. It's just goddamn barbarians. What are they gonna do? Okay, hear me out. The barbarians are some of the strongest cards in the game. Like, honestly, they have been shown doing some insane stuff. And this is not just any barbarians. These are battle ram barbarians. They are said to be it's a higher honor to carry the battle ram than it is just to be a regular barbarian.
Did you know carrying the battle ram is one of the greatest honors a barbarian can have? Well, after the honor of just being a barbarian. Barbarians actually train all day, just in the hope they get to lift up that big piece of wood.
So in this one clip, you can see just by touching a building with his sword, he's able to instantly destroy it. And by the way, unlike the archer, this is not ambiguous. This king tower was never touched. So he basically one-shotted the building with the tip of his sword. And this is just a regular battle ram barbarian. We're not even talking about the evolution barbarians. where they're able to easily push things out the way with their battle ram. They're able to slam through into buildings and destroy them, which is an impressive feat all its own, without even considering this battle ram is a barbarian, which is insane. So we have barbarians just easily destroying buildings, and their durability is fantastic too. As you can see, this barbarian, regular barbarian by the way, not a battle ram barbarian, is able to take multiple cannonballs and even take a huge cannonball and still is alive. Barbarians have an insane durability, insane attack power. Only problem is maybe their speed is in question. They're not able to dodge these cannonballs seemingly, but they are quite powerhouses. So I was kind of questioning whether Infernal Dragon belongs this high, but after thinking about it a little bit, yeah, I'm gonna put him up here. If it was his base version alone, we would have questions. You know, I don't know how powerful his beam is off the start. It takes a while for it to charge. It's not gonna be I don't think it's gonna be able to one-shot a tank after charging for just a second. It's gonna have to take a while. But his evolution version, being able to keep that beam at full power, I think he's melting through anything, whether that be personnel, tanks, buildings, or even battleships. That's right, I think this dude is melting through battleships, and he's shown to be faster in certain instances in the trailer and stuff like that versus how he is in the actual game. So I think he's going to be very useful, especially on the seas, being able to just melt through full-on battleships. Now, can he dodge AA guns? That's into question, but I think he can fly low enough where AA guns are not going to matter. So yeah, I'm gonna keep him in here. I was gonna put Magic Archer this high anyway. You know, he's able to pierce through objects and kill people on the other side. This could be useful to take out tanks. I mean, I talk about tanks a lot in this video, but he's able to take out tanks. He's able to take out enemies behind walls and stuff like that. But then you watch the Class-Rama short, and he's even better than that. Apparently able to one-shot buildings once again. Big shocker there. He's also able to he's also able to fly. He's able to disappear and reappear, like teleport and stuff like that. He has other magical abilities. So yeah, Magic Archer definitely would be must have. The Royal Ghost in the game is already a pretty powerful card, and I would honestly just take him based off these abilities alone, being able to sneak up on enemies, going invincible, and all around just being a very decent card to just take out the enemy's back lines. But in the actual Clash-Rama skit, he's able also fly around and use other magical abilities to his advantage, and he can make people cold by sitting next to them. Whatever use that can give.
Have to distract her. I know. I'll stand next to her and make her cold.
I think I'm getting sick. I need to lie down.
So I would say, yeah, he's pretty up there. And then you have his evolution version, which is even better and makes him summon an army pretty much every time he goes invisible. Smack him down, create another 2 ghost guys that does a lot of damage themselves. Yeah, he can create a small ghost army, and that would be honestly pretty scary. Dark Goblin, I did not expect to be in this category. I thought it would be a niche at best, but after looking at what he does to this giant in less than a second, I have no choice but to put him in the useful tier, because he's going to be able to covertly sneak around, take out squads of enemies, move away. That's going to be his role. That's going to be his purpose. And that's not even mentioning the evolution Dark Goblin, where he's probably going to be able to take out, once again, he's going to be able to take out vehicles, tanks, and even buildings. It's seemingly, this poison is acidic in nature, able to break down anything. Same thing with the poison spell. That's why I put the poison spell in useful category. It's the fact that these things can damage buildings, and also the evolved Dark Goblin spreads its poison around by just coming into contact. It's kind of weird, but I think he would be useful. Then you have the Firecracker. The Firecracker is able to shoot a rocket and has infinite rockets. So you have an infinite rocket glitch here. And she's also, her evolved version is also able to spread a seemingly napalm on the ground, okay? That's going to be, that's going to be insane. She's going to be taken out instantly. They don't have a lot of health, but I think they're going to be quite a nuisance on the battlefield. The Tornado. I was gonna put tornado in the super weapon category as well, but it only lasts for like a second. But its wind force is enough to damage buildings and move tanks around. I think it would maybe kill a soldier, but I'm not too confident. I think you have a 50-50 chance of survival for the tornado. It only lasts for a second. Won't even blow you around that much. It's alright. You know, I think it belongs in the it can be useful category, displacing enemies and stuff like that. The Vine is the same way. I think could be classified as a super weapon. I wouldn't be mad at you if you want to say it's a super weapon, because it's actually kind of funny. I can imagine this thing coming up from the depths of the sea and surrounding a whole ship. The problem is, once again, only lasts for like 2 or 3 seconds. Can only target 3 enemies. It's not that great in like not that great, but like, you know, it's kind of overtaken by the freeze spell. We discussed the Ice Spirit last video, and this is just kind of like a better version of that. It has a nice size radius. It can also, once again, freeze enemies, which I think would one-shot any personnel and disable tanks. This one I'm even more sure of, because it lasts for 4 seconds. 4 seconds of being frozen like that. Yeah, anyone caught inside this is going to be dead. Now, you would think the voice spell would be less effective in a war due to how many soldiers could be in one area at once. But I'd argue that even weakened, the voice spell could do enough to incapacitate or stun enemies for a bit. As you see in this trailer, even though there's a bunch of people around in this small area, it has quite a potent effect on everybody, even knocking out the evolved wizard. You could argue that it would even annihilate soldiers off the face of the earth, considering they're regular humans and these are class troops. Now, its effect on vehicles, I'm not sure. I don't know if it will do that much damage if people are around, but looking at how it does to regular tanks in the game, it could do a ton of damage if it's just focusing on a singular target. The Tesla Tower is probably one of the best defensive buildings in the game due to its ability to hide itself, completely mitigating the range issues the other defensive buildings have. It actually is going to get a lot of uses before it gets destroyed. I actually have a hard time thinking of how it would be destroyed by any infantry. It would definitely have to be bombed or have a effective grenade or something like that to destroy it, because it's underground. It's really well hidden. So I could see this maybe being used in Vietnam. Honestly, it could be used on all fronts. It's just a really solid building, and its Evo version makes it even better, sending out a shockwave that could knock out vehicles temporarily, and I think this is killing troops easily. I don't know how well it will affect air units though. That's the only issue. The shockwave is really slow, and Clash Royale air units are really low to the ground, so I don't think it will affect planes, but it's still a decent building. So this is so funny. Originally I had this card in a niche category. I thought it would be like useful as a base ice golem, just helping push up with soldiers as like a tank or a barricade. But look, rewatching the trailer, this is an insane effect. Him coming in and just covering the entire arena in goop is interesting to say the least. I don't know how much of a dangerous effect this is though. Would it work like mud, maybe holding up personnel or troops, or would it just be there? It's not very effective or anything like that. But that's not the main reason why I put him here. Of course, he is able to one-shot a tower, just completely Hulk smashes it, and he is huge. Like he's twice the size of the tower, it looks like. It looks like he's bigger than Giant, but it's kind of hard to tell. The proportions are always weird in Clash Royale. It's hard to tell for a lot of things, but he's able to one-shot a tower, and this goop effect is interesting enough. I think he would be in a useful category. That's not even to mention his high health pool, his ability to split twice, by the way, able to become like different blobs. Yeah, I think he's going to have plenty of use cases. These next 4 may have some uses on the battlefield, but I personally would keep them in the backlines, more as supporters or inventors. The Rune Giant, Battle Healer, Electro Wiz, and Mother Witch. For instance, the Rune Giant can create powerful weapons that do crit on the 3rd shot. This is kind of hard to quantify on how impactful it is, but I'm sure it's going to be useful. Probably turn a regular bullet into an armor-piercing round, or tank cannons into something even more devastating. Another useful crafter, I would say even more useful, is the Electro Wizard. He has helped create some powerful cards like the Sparky, Zap Spell, Void Spell, and the Tesla Tower, along with the little freaking zappies, you know. But I would say these are very useful inventions. And this is a universe with seemingly not that much tech, a very limited amount of tech. So imagine him working with your boy Oppenheimer and Einstein. Imagine what he can create based on our technology. Then we have more, healer type card, the Battle Healer. As I said in my last video, the Heal Spirit is able to heal some crazy stuff from bullets, fireball, rocket, I think she will be easily able to heal someone that's been shot, or hell, even someone that's been blown up by a grenade, maybe regrow limbs back. Just take someone from 0 to 100 real quick. Lastly, the Mother Witch. I did not put on her here for a good reason. I put her here for some darker implications. The Nazis and Japanese did some terrible experiments to a lot of different groups and tortured many POWs. For example, Unit 731 was responsible for large-scale biological and chemical warfare research, as well as lethal human experimentation. She would be used for war crime purposes. She would be a war crime machine, torturing prisoners and being used to humiliate any groups these people did not like, turning them into pigs, which is kind of horrifying. Imagining you're sitting there and your friend is just also turned into a pig. You would spill any info you would have, I think, especially if you're just a young recruit that, 18, 19-year-old, seeing your friend turn into a pig all of a sudden. Yeah, no, it would be crazy. So yeah. Alright, after that little dark subject matter, I think we need a hero. Okay, so next 3 units are pretty special because they are the heroes. The Mini P.E.K.K.A, Musketeer, and Knight are pretty good troops already in their base tier, except for the Musketeer. Her Musketeer is mainly here because of her hero and evolution abilities, but they're all 3 pretty decent troops on the battlefield. But you get a lot of info and power scaling from this trailer alone. Let's start off with the Mini P.E.K.K.A, for example, to show you how ridiculous this trailer here is. For example, this clip.
And when you're done flipping, he levels up with pancake energy!
He's powering up. He's eating the pancakes. His power level is over 9,000.
As you can see, they say his power level is over 9,000. That's an issue. If you don't know, the power level 9,000 thing comes from Dragon Ball, and if they're basing this off of 9,000 power level of Ki, that means Mini P.E.K.K.A is a planet buster at the very least. You had characters blowing up the moon at 9,000, and you had characters doing this crap at 10,000. So Mini P.E.K.K.A definitely can destroy a planet if his power level is 9,000. Now I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna take this with a huge grain of salt and say this is heavy hyperbole, and they're just playing around, and it's just a toy. But this is something to keep in mind to how powerful Mini P.E.K.K.A is. And Mini P.E.K.K.A is no slouch. He may not be planet level, but he definitely is building level based off of this one trailer. And he's also able to keep up with the Knight, which is able to dodge a bullet from the Musketeer. So he has some hypersonic scaling. We could put him in that tier of speed. He's pretty good. I would honestly take him on the battlefield. And then you have his hero version. His hero version makes him even stronger and lets him heal from any damage he's taken by eating pancakes. Now, I don't know if there's any indication where he has to eat his own pancakes, or if anyone can make him pancakes. Because if anyone can just make him pancakes, he can have infinite amount of strength. And this is why I was debating on whether to put him in the super weapon category or the useful category, because there's so much you can take from his trailers and his feats and what his abilities is. I'm just gonna keep him here for now, but just know he can be in the super weapon tier of his own. And then we have the Knight, who is an absolute tank. This guy is just built different, able to survive rockets, sparky shots, fireballs, you name it. He's been through it. But that's not even to mention his hero and Evo version, where his Evo version, he takes 60% less damage while he's walking, and his hero version, which gives him a shield. And we talked about shields earlier. They basically make you immune as long as you have it, so you can survive basically a nuke. And he has multiple shields. You know, he's able to use the hero ability multiple times as long as he's alive. He also has a fantastic combat speed. As we can see here, he straight up just dodges a bullet from the musketeer. His taunt ability, where he's able to draw people near him for 4 whole seconds. On the battlefield, this will cause nothing but chaos. Imagine people trying to just run to where the knight is, getting out of position, whatever position they're in, getting out of cover, completely putting themselves at a disadvantage just to find the knight. So yeah, I think the knight belongs in the useful. The only reason why I'm not putting him in a super weapon category is because he doesn't have any good attack power showings. I don't see anything that shows him like destroying a tower or anything like that. So I think putting him in the useful category is good enough for me. And we can move it up or down later. So the last card we are going to talk about in the useful category and in the hero category is the musketeer. And I kind of downplayed her earlier, and I do think she's weaker than the knight and P.E.K.K.A, but she was able to hold her own pretty well in the trailer, even pinning down the knight at one point before getting put into a genjutsu, which I low-key think is literally the knight's ability. He does it twice in super bad situations, and then all of a sudden the people are daydreaming for no reason out of nowhere. So I think that technically would be part of his taunt ability, but we'll talk about it another time. But the musketeer herself is pretty useful. Her evolution gives her the ability to snipe from an infinite amount of range. Now, this is going to be left up to your own interpretation, whether the infinite range means literally infinite, where she can snipe anyone on the planet, or it's like within the arena, so she can snipe up to 360 yards, which is, you know, both pretty good. Not only can she snipe from quote-unquote 360 yards, but she can also snipe through objects. As you can see, like, she's sniping people behind the tower and stuff like that. And I've seen it in games. She's like sniping people through units. It's stupid. I don't know how it works. It doesn't even damage the thing before it. Magic, I guess. So I think she could probably kill, like, if there's like a commander or something in a bunker, she's going to be able to shoot them no matter how much cover they're in. And her hero ability, honestly, I didn't think was that strong, but like, if it works like the other buildings, like I'm giving it the other caveats, it's kind of unfair, especially if she's going through like an urban environment or a building. She can easily clear out a room and just after placing it down. It also is a factor of, does she have it on her? Is it like a capsule where she just throws it down and it pops up? I think it is. So this thing would be broken, and I think she definitely belongs in the useful category. So that is the end of the useful category. And if you look at the time below, that's towards the end of this video. I know, I never covered the super weapons, but I want to give them their own video. This video is already 40 minutes long, and my DaVinci Resolve is giving me hell. It's too many assets. It keeps lagging. So I'm gonna make another video covering the super weapon tier and anything I might have missed in this video. I want to see your guys' comments. Let me know if any cards are too strong, if I placed them too high or placed them too low. I want some feedback as well. So we're going to cover super weapons and my mistakes in this video in the next one. So I hope you guys did enjoy, and thanks for watching all the way through. Please leave a comment, let me know your feedback. I'm getting started with this, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you.